April 12, 1943. 4:30 hours, near Kursk, Soviet Union. Frost bites through every layer of clothing, and the ground shudders with distant artillery. The whine of engines echoes across the flat Russian plains, punctuated by the staccato rattle of machine guns. Smoke curls in the early morning light, turning the sky into a blur of gray and orange. German panzer divisions crawl forward, their treads chewing mud and snow alike. Oberleutnant Klaus Reinhardt squints over the periscope of a partially concealed command vehicle. Orders are terse. Resources are dwindling. Tanks have been lost at an alarming rate. The Soviet T-34s dominate the battlefield with their thick armor and relentless advance. Reinhardt's men whisper among themselves, tension tightening the air like a drawn bowstring. In the mess tents behind the lines, engineers argue over possibilities. "We need firepower," one mutters. "But tanks are gone. The factories cannot replace them fast enough." Another voice cuts in, quiet, almost conspiratorial. "What if we put the weapons on something smaller? Something faster?" They speak of jeeps, the standard light reconnaissance vehicles rolling across the front, nimble, sturdy, and underestimated. Reinhardt's eyes narrow. The thought is daring, perhaps reckless. But the Wehrmacht has faced worse. Necessity breeds ingenuity, the generals always say. By midday, the first sketches appear. A 20mm KWK-30 cannon, light, but deadly against soft-skinned vehicles and infantry, mounted onto a nimble jeep chassis. Modifications are improvised, reinforced brackets, welded plates, jury-rigged sights. Every night, soldiers work by the flickering glow of oil lamps, hammering steel, tightening bolts, testing recoil. The first prototype emerges from the shadows, a small vehicle, bristling with firepower, every line screaming lethality. Reinhardt walks around it, feeling the cold steel under his gloves. He imagines it tearing across the mud, weaving between craters, guns spitting death. Iron Wasp, someone calls it quietly. The name sticks. It is small, fast, and stings harder than its size suggests. As evening descends, a test drive begins. The jeep lurches forward, engine growling, guns firing blanks in bursts that echo across the frozen field. Soldiers duck instinctively, some laughing nervously, others grimacing at the raw power. Every shot leaves a recoil that rattles the frame, every maneuver tests the limits of design. It is dangerous, it is imperfect, but it works. Meanwhile, scouts report increased Soviet patrols near the supply lines. The Iron Wasp must prove itself in combat soon, or risk becoming another ambitious idea lost to the war. Reinhardt leans against the hood, eyes scanning the dark horizon. He knows that the first deployment could decide the fate of an entire sector. And so, in the shadow of armored columns and endless snow, the Iron Wasp waits. Small, fast, and deadly. But the question lingers like smoke in the cold air. Will this improvised weapon survive the crucible of the Eastern Front, or will it vanish into the chaos of war before its legend is born? April 14, 1943. 5:15 hours, outskirts of Prokhorovka, Kursk salient. Dawn struggles to pierce the low-hanging clouds, painting the muddy fields in muted grays. The air smells of wet earth, oil, and the acrid sting of distant gunpowder. Snow patches cling stubbornly to the ground, melting into rivulets that swallow tracks and footprints alike. Oberleutnant Reinhardt grips the wheel of the Iron Wasp, his breath visible in the frigid morning air. The vehicle shudders under him, bristling with its improvised cannon and twin machine guns. Around him, a small squad of jeeps follows, some armed, some scouts, but none carry the same destructive potential. Reinhardt's pulse quickens. Today is the first test. The first true battle. In the distance, Soviet scouts appear, silhouettes against the morning haze. They advance cautiously, unaware of the sting waiting in the mud. Reinhardt leans forward, eyeing the field through improvised iron sights. His squad waits for his signal. Every soldier knows that failure could mean death. But success could rewrite their small corner of the front. He nods. The Iron Wasp lunges forward, tires churning mud and melting snow. The engine roars, a defiant growl that drowns out the distant artillery. The mounted cannon fires its first shell, the blast cutting through the mist. The shot strikes a Soviet armored scout car, splintering wood and metal alike. Reinhardt feels a surge of grim satisfaction. The weapon works. It works. But the Soviets respond instantly. Machine gun fire tears through the morning air, striking the mud around the Iron Wasp. Reinhardt slams the wheel left, tires slipping in the mire, the vehicle rocking violently. Every maneuver demands precision, every second could be the last. The twin machine guns rattle to life, a hail of lead that forces the enemy to scatter. Around him, the squad adapts instinctively. The Iron Wasp darts between craters and debris, using speed and surprise as armor. Each shot from the main cannon tears through vehicles, leaving smoke and twisted metal in its wake. Reinhardt's men cheer between bursts, adrenaline sharpening every sense. The battlefield feels alive, almost sentient. The Iron Wasp is no longer a machine, it is a predator. Yet victory is not without peril. AT-34 suddenly emerges, its massive form cutting through the mist. Reinhardt freezes for a heartbeat, calculating angles, power, and timing. The Iron Wasp's cannon rattles against the recoil, bullets tearing into the Soviet tank's flank. Sparks fly, smoke curls. The T-34 falters but does not fall. Reinhardt's heart pounds. It's fast, but it's still fragile. By mid-morning, the skirmish reaches its peak. The Iron Wasp's combination of speed and firepower has disrupted the Soviet patrol, but the cost is visible. Dents, splintered plates, and scorched mud trails mark every passage. Reinhardt realizes that this is only the beginning. If the Iron Wasp is to survive larger engagements, improvements are inevitable: reinforced armor, modified suspension, and tactical coordination. As the sun breaks through clouds, the battlefield quiets. The Soviets retreat, leaving wrecked vehicles and shattered morale behind. Reinhardt parks the Iron Wasp atop a small rise, surveying the damage. His men are exhausted but exhilarated. A legend has begun, yet Reinhardt cannot shake a growing unease. Somewhere beyond the ridge, larger Soviet formations are moving. How many Iron Wasps will it take to hold the line? And what happens when the enemy realizes these small, deadly predators are among them? April 20, 1943. 2 o'clock hours, field workshop near Belgorod. A thin fog clings to the frozen earth. Soldiers move like shadows between tents and half-buried supply crates, their boots squelching in mud and snowmelt. The Iron Wasp sits in the center, lights dimmed, engine ticking as it cools. Its body bears the scars of the first skirmishes, dents from artillery shrapnel, scorched mud on its sides, and makeshift welds glinting under the lanterns. Oberleutnant Reinhardt crouches beside it, tracing a gloved hand over the reinforced brackets. "We cannot rely on luck," he mutters, voice low but firm. Engineers nod, scribbling notes in grease-stained notebooks. Every victory in the field teaches a lesson, and the Iron Wasp is a living testament to improvisation under fire. The first modifications are immediate. Suspension is reinforced to handle the recoil of repeated cannon fire. Steel plates, salvaged from wrecked tanks, are welded onto the sides for protection. Ammunition racks are redesigned for speed, allowing gunners to reload under fire. Even the cannon sight is adjusted for better accuracy while on the move. Each alteration is born of necessity, forged in the cold crucible of combat. By dawn, a small convoy of these modified jeeps is ready. Reinhardt inspects each one meticulously. They are no longer prototypes. They are soldiers, ready to strike fear into the enemy. The nickname, Iron Wasp, spreads quickly through the ranks. Scouts whisper about the small, fast vehicles that appear from nowhere, sting with deadly accuracy, and vanish before counterfire can catch them. The first large-scale deployment comes on April 22. Dozens of Iron Wasps maneuver through a broken landscape of shell craters and shattered trees. They dart between panzer divisions, striking supply convoys, communications posts, and isolated infantry squads. The Soviets are bewildered, unable to predict where the next sting will come. One encounter becomes infamous among the men. A column of Soviet trucks, laden with ammunition, advances through a narrow valley. Reinhardt signals his squad. Engines roar. The Iron Wasps dart forward like lightning. Cannons fire. Trucks erupt in flames. Machine guns rip through fleeing soldiers. The valley becomes a tableau of chaos and fire, the smell of burning fuel hanging thick in the air. Reports of these attacks reach German high command. There is cautious approval. Some generals see the potential of these mobile tank hunters, while others question the wisdom of risking light vehicles against hardened Soviet armor. Reinhardt understands both perspectives but knows the men on the ground feel invincible. The Iron Wasp is no longer an experiment, it is a symbol of German ingenuity and desperation, a weapon born from the chaos of war. Yet the weapon's success brings new dangers. Soviet intelligence begins to study the Iron Wasp. Countermeasures are already being considered. Reinhardt senses the stakes rising. Each battle won increases notoriety, and with notoriety comes attention. The next engagement could either solidify the Iron Wasp's legend or see it destroyed in an overwhelming response. As the men prepare for the next sortie, the Iron Wasp hums quietly, waiting. Its frame battered, yet agile. Its guns primed and hungry. Reinhardt's gaze lingers on the horizon. In the distance, he sees faint plumes of Soviet smoke. Another fight is coming, and this time, it may be more dangerous than any before. April 28, 1943. 6:45 hours, north of Belgorod. Mist hangs over the shattered forest, clinging to broken branches and the frozen ruts left by retreating vehicles. The distant thunder of artillery vibrates through the soil. The air smells of smoke, wet earth, and something acrid, burning fuel from a recently destroyed convoy. Silence lies over the field for a heartbeat, but Reinhardt knows it is a fragile calm. The Iron Wasps move like shadows. Each jeep, bristling with its cannon and machine guns, darts from cover to cover. Reinhardt leads the lead vehicle, scanning the tree line with a sharpened focus. Behind him, the squad follows precisely, engines low to mask their approach. Every man knows the stakes. Every misstep could be the last. The first encounter comes swiftly. Soviet infantry emerges, flanking a small supply column. Reinhardt signals the Iron Wasp squad. In unison, the engines roar. The cannons crackle, machine guns tearing through ranks of soldiers. Chaos erupts. Shouts, gunfire, and explosions echo through the valley. Reinhardt's mind sharpens. Each movement must be precise. A Soviet T-70 light tank appears, barreling toward the squad. Reinhardt fires the cannon. The recoil shudders through the jeep. A direct hit flips the tank onto its side, smoke curling from the engine. The squad moves like predators, striking swiftly, vanishing into the fog before reinforcements can respond. News of the attack spreads quickly. Soldiers call it the sting of the wasp, a sudden, precise, and lethal strike that leaves no time for retaliation. By nightfall, the Iron Wasps have decimated the supply line, destroyed vehicles, and left survivors whispering tales of an unstoppable predator. Reinhardt sits beside a campfire, soot-stained and exhausted, listening to reports over the field radios. Each success fuels both pride and dread. They are effective, but enemy attention grows with every sting. Yet war is never kind. On the next sortie, a hidden Soviet artillery unit waits in ambush. The Iron Wasp squad charges into the kill zone. Shells tear through the trees. One jeep is destroyed instantly, flames consuming it. Reinhardt narrowly avoids a direct hit, feeling the heat of the blast lick past his legs. The squad retreats, shaken. Victory is no longer certain. The Iron Wasp may be fast, but it is still vulnerable. The men work tirelessly, repairing damage and improving armor. Each encounter teaches a brutal lesson. Speed alone is not enough. Strategy, coordination, and ruthlessness are just as critical. Reinhardt studies maps late into the night, plotting ambushes and escape routes. The Iron Wasp must not only strike, it must survive. Stories circulate among soldiers. The Iron Wasp racing through forests to cut off reinforcements, its cannon spitting fire at night, leaving enemy soldiers in disbelief. Some say it moves like a ghost, others swear it disappears into smoke and fog. Fear spreads through Soviet ranks, tales of the German, mini-tank Predator, traveling faster than any reconnaissance could predict. By May, the Iron Wasp has earned a fearsome reputation. Reinhardt, though proud, cannot shake the gnawing realization, legend brings scrutiny. The Soviets will adapt. They will study, anticipate, and counter. The next engagement may not allow for improvisation. Will the Iron Wasp remain a ghostly predator, or will it face an enemy prepared to extinguish its sting forever? May 3, 1943. 3:30 hours, western flank near Belgorod. Darkness blankets the battlefield. The wind carries a bitter chill and the faint smell of scorched earth. Reinhardt crouches behind a low ridge, binoculars pressed to his eyes. In the dim glow of lanterns, he sees silhouettes of Soviet engineers laying new obstacles, trenches, anti-tank ditches, and improvised mines. The Soviets are learning. They have studied the Iron Wasp. The Iron Wasp squad moves cautiously, tires crunching on frozen mud, engines barely audible. Reinhardt knows the men are tense. Every shadow could conceal a deadly trap. Every faint sound could signal the end. They have already lost comrades to hidden artillery and well-placed ambushes. Victory has a bitter price. Suddenly, flares streak the sky. Soviet mortars open fire. The Iron Wasps leap into motion, skidding across mud and snow, dodging shells that explode in showers of dirt and sparks. Reinhardt fires the cannon at the origin of the attack. A column of trees explodes in splinters. Machine guns tear through advancing infantry. The squad moves as a single organism, weaving in and out of craters, never stopping, never hesitating. Yet the danger is mounting. Mines hidden beneath mud explode under a trailing jeep, sending a plume of soil into the air. Reinhardt feels the shockwave rattle through his vehicle. He jerks the wheel sharply, barely avoiding another. His men shout warnings, adrenaline sharpening every sense. The battlefield has become a test of instinct as much as firepower. By midday, the Iron Wasp squad has lost one jeep and suffered casualties. Reinhardt radios for extraction. They retreat to a makeshift workshop under cover of trees. Engineers immediately begin repairs, welding plates over damaged armor, reinforcing suspension, and improving ammunition storage. Each modification is a response to enemy adaptation, a desperate race to keep the predator alive. In the evenings, Reinhardt studies maps and Soviet intelligence reports. They are learning, and their tactics are changing. Small artillery units are being deployed to choke predicted routes. Anti-tank rifles and coordinated ambushes have increased lethality. The Iron Wasp can no longer rely solely on surprise. Every sortie now requires planning, foresight, and nerve. Despite the danger, tales of the Iron Wasp continue to spread. Soldiers whisper of its near miraculous escapes, its ability to strike and vanish, and the destruction left in its wake. Even Reinhardt feels a mixture of pride and unease. Each victory reinforces the legend, but each close call is a stark reminder of its fragility. The line between predator and prey is razor thin. And then, on the edge of the forest, a new Soviet formation appears. Larger, better armed, and anticipating the Iron Wasp's tactics. Reinhardt's pulse quickens. The squad must decide, attack and risk annihilation, or retreat and preserve the weapon for another day. The answer will determine not just the fate of the Iron Wasp, but the survival of its men. May 8, 1943, 4:50 hours, dense pine forest near Belgorod. The fog lies thick, clinging to every tree, every branch, muffling sound and swallowing light. Dew drips from needles, soaking boots and instruments alike. Reinhardt crouches in the lead Iron Wasp, engine idling silently, ears straining for the faintest sound of movement. The squad follows, a tight formation, every man tense. The quiet is deceptive. Unseen, Soviet troops lie in wait. Artillery observers have scouted the forest paths, laying traps, mines, and hidden anti-tank rifles. This is no ordinary patrol. It is an ambush designed to destroy the Iron Wasp in one swift, decisive strike. Reinhardt senses it before he sees it, a faint reflection on a scope, the soft shift of leaves, the smell of wet gun oil in the morning air. Suddenly, machine gun fire erupts from both flanks. The Iron Wasps lurch, dodging through a hail of bullets and exploding mud. Reinhardt yanks the wheel left, cannon firing in rapid bursts, sending shells tearing through the mist. Trees splinter, and Soviet soldiers scramble for cover, shouting commands in Russian. One jeep ahead hits a mine, flipping violently, metal shrieking as it crashes into a shallow ditch. Reinhardt feels the recoil of his own cannon, sweat stinging his eyes, as he tears through the fog. The remaining jeeps respond instantly, weaving a deadly dance of fire and maneuver. Every second is a gamble. Every decision carries life or death consequences. The Soviets press relentlessly. AT-34 bursts through the fog, engine roaring like a beast. Reinhardt lines up the cannon, fires, and the shell strikes the side armor. Sparks fly, smoke curls, but the tank does not fall. He yanks the wheel again, dodging debris, sending machine gun fire into infantry closing the perimeter. Survival is as much instinct as skill. Minutes feel like hours. The squad adapts, improvises, and survives. Reinhardt notes the patterns. The Soviets are coordinating, learning the weaknesses of the small vehicles. Mines and traps are everywhere, but the Iron Wasps, agile and ruthless, exploit every gap. By mid-morning, the ambush has been broken, though at a cost. 2 jeeps destroyed, several wounded, and Reinhardt himself narrowly avoiding death more than once. As the squad regroups, Reinhardt surveys the battlefield. Smoke rises in the distance, echoing the chaos of what was almost a trap that could have annihilated them. He knows the Soviets will adapt further. Each encounter teaches a harsh lesson. The Iron Wasp is fast, lethal, and agile, but it is not invincible. Every strike now requires caution, strategy, and an unflinching nerve. At the edge of the forest, Reinhardt glances at his men, faces smeared with mud and soot, eyes wide with adrenaline. A grim realization settles over him. The legend of the Iron Wasp has only begun. For every battlefield victory, the enemy grows smarter. The next engagement may not allow for survival by speed and surprise alone. And somewhere beyond the trees, unseen observers take notes. The Iron Wasp has been revealed, and the Soviets are preparing. The Predator may still strike, but the hunters are closing in May 12, 1943. 1:45 hours, makeshift workshop near Belgorod. Darkness presses down on the frozen earth. Lanterns cast flickering shadows across tents, crates, and half-assembled machinery. The smell of oil, molten steel, and burned metal hangs heavy in the air. Soldiers and engineers work silently, each movement precise, almost ritualistic. The Iron Wasp lies in the center, battered from recent skirmishes, panels dented, tires worn, yet its cannon gleams, ever ready. Oberleutnant Reinhardt crouches beside it, eyes scanning the damage. Every dent tells a story: close calls, direct hits, lucky escapes. Engineers pass tools back and forth, welding armor plates salvaged from wrecked tanks, reinforcing suspension to handle the punishing recoil of repeated cannon fire. Improvised mounts are reinforced, ammunition racks are redesigned for faster reloads. Every modification is born from experience, forged in the crucible of survival. The men work through the night, their hands numb, eyes bloodshot. Reinhardt observes quietly, noting small inefficiencies: a bracket that rattles, a cannon sight misaligned, tires prone to puncture. Each flaw could cost a life in the next engagement. He sketches adjustments in the dirt with a stick, planning new reinforcements and improvements. By pre-dawn, a prototype emerges. The Iron Wasp is faster, stronger, and more lethal. Armor covers critical areas without weighing it down. Ammunition is stored for rapid access. The cannon mounts are stabilized, reducing recoil impact. Even the engine is tuned for quick bursts, allowing rapid maneuvers across muddy terrain. It is no longer just a prototype, it is a finely tuned Predator. The squad tests the vehicle, darting through the field, firing blanks to simulate combat. The Iron Wasp responds as if alive, its engine growls, suspension absorbs the uneven ground, weapons fire with deadly precision. Reinhardt feels a surge of grim satisfaction. They have taken ingenuity and desperation and turned it into survival, turning a small jeep into a weapon capable of challenging much larger forces. Yet innovation comes at a cost. Materials are scarce. Every spare tank plate, every piece of machinery diverted to this effort is one less for the front lines. Engineers work tirelessly, improvising solutions from scraps, while Reinhardt coordinates operations to ensure maximum effectiveness. It is a delicate balance between creating a legend and overextending limited resources. News of the Iron Wasp spreads among the soldiers. Tales of its precision strikes, rapid maneuvers, and near miraculous escapes grow with every encounter. Fear spreads among Soviet troops, whispers of a small, deadly vehicle that strikes without warning unsettle morale. Reinhardt knows that legend alone cannot win battles, but it can shape perception, and in war, perception is as deadly as firepower. As dawn breaks, the Iron Wasp is ready. Engines purr, weapons primed, tires coated in mud from testing. Reinhardt glances at his squad, men exhausted but resolute, their eyes reflecting both fear and determination. Beyond the horizon, he knows Soviet forces prepare, studying patterns, anticipating tactics. The next engagement will test every innovation, every adjustment, and every ounce of courage. And somewhere in the mist, Reinhardt wonders, can ingenuity and speed outmatch the relentless tide of an enemy who learns with each passing day? Or will the Iron Wasp, magnificent though it is, finally meet a foe it cannot outmaneuver? May 18, 1943. 4:20 hours, Eastern Front near Belgorod. Dawn creeps across the horizon in muted shades of gray. Mist clings to shattered trees and cratered earth, muffling the sounds of movement. Reinhardt sits atop a ridge, binoculars pressed to his eyes, surveying the forested valley below. The Iron Wasps lie in wait, engines silent, shadows among shadows. The Soviets move cautiously. Rumors of the Iron Wasp have spread like wildfire, soldiers whispering of a small, fast vehicle that can strike anywhere, leaving destruction in its wake. Morale among enemy troops falters before engagement begins. Officers repeat warnings about the German Predator, cautioning against standard patrols. Fear has become an invisible weapon, wielded before the first shot is fired. The Iron Wasp squad strikes at dawn. They move like phantoms through fog and broken terrain, cannon and machine guns ready. Reinhardt signals, and the vehicles burst forward. Within minutes, supply columns are shattered, machine gun fire cuts through fleeing soldiers, and the small jeeps vanish before reinforcements can react. The Soviets are left stunned, confused, and fearful. Back at the makeshift headquarters, German reports note the psychological effect. Enemy morale deteriorating rapidly, reads one dispatch. Soldiers recount panic and retreat at the mere sight of small, fast vehicles mounting tanks, firepower. Reinhardt feels a grim satisfaction, knowing that the weapon's reach extends beyond physical destruction, it strikes at the mind. Word spreads quickly among other German units. Requests for Iron Wasps multiply. Commanders hope to replicate the effect across the front, though resources and trained personnel are limited. Reinhardt and his engineers continue to refine the design, balancing speed, firepower, and survivability. Each success emboldens the men, but also increases expectations, pressure, and scrutiny. Yet the Soviets are not idle. Intelligence units intensify reconnaissance, studying movement patterns and vehicle modifications. Countermeasures are prepared. Anti-tank weapons, ambushes, and artillery coordination aimed specifically at neutralizing the Wasp threat. Reinhardt knows that the legend, while powerful, has made them a target. Every sortie now carries a higher risk. On the field, stories grow. Soldiers speak of Iron Wasps appearing from nowhere, striking supply lines, and disappearing into smoke and fog. Some whisper of jeeps racing across fields, cannon blazing, seemingly impervious to fire. Reinhardt observes the mix of awe and fear among his own men, pride at their creation, anxiety over the danger it invites. The legend is double-edged. It inspires and terrifies, but it also signals to the enemy, the Iron Wasp exists, and it is deadly. Reinhardt realizes that the next phase will be critical. Will ingenuity and speed continue to dominate, or will the Soviets' adaptations finally counter the predator that has haunted their ranks? May 25, 1943, 3:50 hours, outskirts of Kharkiv. The pre-dawn air is thick with fog and the scent of gunpowder lingering from previous skirmishes. Reinhardt sits tense in the lead Iron Wasp, eyes scanning the low ridge ahead. Somewhere in the mist, Soviet artillery observers are poised, infantry crawling through trenches, and hidden anti-tank rifles ready to strike. The hunters have become the hunted. Reinhardt signals the squad, engines roar to life. The Iron Wasp surge forward, tires skidding through mud and shell-cratered terrain. Cannon fire erupts, blasting supply trucks and scattered infantry. Machine guns rattle in unison, cutting a path through the fog. For a moment, the battlefield is chaos incarnate, small vehicles moving like deadly shadows. But the Soviets are prepared. Coordinated artillery falls in precise patterns. Mines detonate under the wheels of trailing jeeps. Anti-tank rifles rake the lead vehicle, forcing Reinhardt to swerve violently, cannon shaking with each rapid movement. Smoke curls, obscuring vision. Every second is a fight for survival. One jeep is hit directly. Flames erupt, sending the vehicle skidding sideways into a crater. Reinhardt witnesses his men narrowly escape, dragging wounded comrades to cover. The Iron Wasps, though fast, are vulnerable. Speed and surprise are no longer guarantees. They must now rely on tactics, instinct, and the sharpest coordination imaginable. Reinhardt directs the remaining vehicles into a series of flanking maneuvers. Cannon fire tears through supply lines, while machine guns suppress advancing infantry. The Soviets respond with relentless determination, adapting to the Iron Wasp's tactics. Every maneuver demands split-second decisions, every miscalculation could mean death. Minutes stretch like hours. Smoke, mud, and debris fill the air. Reinhardt's mind races, calculating angles, anticipating enemy positions. One wrong move, and the Iron Wasp could be destroyed. Yet against all odds, the vehicles strike with precision, weaving a deadly pattern across the battlefield. By mid-morning, the Soviet counterattack is stalled, their formations disrupted. The battlefield lies quiet once more, punctuated only by distant artillery. Reinhardt surveys the damage: destroyed vehicles, scorched earth, and exhausted but alive men. The Iron Wasp has survived, but just barely. It is no longer merely a weapon, it is a test of endurance, a measure of human ingenuity and courage against overwhelming odds. As the men repair damage and tend to the wounded, Reinhardt reflects on the day. The Soviets have learned, adapted, and fought back harder than ever. The Iron Wasp has survived, but its legend has come at a cost. The question lingers: can ingenuity, speed, and audacity continue to outmatch an enemy that grows smarter with each encounter? And in the shadows beyond the ridge, new Soviet units prepare, aware now of the predator that has haunted their supply lines. The stage is set for another confrontation, more dangerous and decisive than any before. June 2, 1943. 5:10 hours, Eastern approaches to Kharkiv. The morning sun breaks weakly through a heavy layer of clouds, casting a dim light over cratered fields and shattered forests. Smoke from distant skirmishes curls into the gray sky. Reinhardt sits in the lead Iron Wasp, engine humming softly, scanning the horizon with a mixture of determination and weariness. The vehicle is battered, its frame scarred from countless engagements, yet it moves as if alive, alert and ready. The Iron Wasp has become more than a machine, it is legend. Tales of its speed, audacity, and devastating firepower spread through German lines, bolstering morale, while whispers of its deadly stings unsettle Soviet troops. Soldiers recount stories of small vehicles appearing from nowhere, striking supply lines, and vanishing before reinforcements can respond. Some speak of it as ghostly, almost supernatural, others call it the mini tank that bites. But legend is hard won. Reinhardt's squad has paid a steep price, men lost, jeeps destroyed, and countless nights spent repairing, reinforcing, and improvising. Yet every battle teaches lessons, and every victory, however costly, sharpens both machine and soldier. Engineers tirelessly improve armor, weapons mounts, and suspension. Ammunition storage is refined for rapid deployment, engines are tuned for speed, and tactics are constantly adjusted to outwit an increasingly prepared enemy. Despite the dangers, the Iron Wasp continues to operate across the front, striking quickly and disappearing, a small predator that reshapes the battlefield. Enemy soldiers learn to fear the sudden crack of its cannon, the rattle of its machine guns, and the swift, unpredictable path of a nimble jeep that can outmaneuver much larger forces. Fear becomes a weapon as potent as steel. By late June, Reinhardt reflects on the machine's journey, from a desperate idea conceived in mud-stained tents, to a lethal predator feared across the Eastern Front. The Iron Wasp is a testament to ingenuity, courage, and adaptability under the relentless pressure of war. Its survival is as much a story of engineering as it is of human resolve. Yet, even as the vehicle continues to strike with deadly efficiency, Reinhardt understands the limits. The Soviets adapt faster, deploy heavier weapons, and anticipate its maneuvers. The Iron Wasp will never be invincible, but its legend will endure. Soldiers speak of it long after the campaign's end, a symbol of audacity, speed, and the lethal creativity born in desperation. As Reinhardt drives across the scarred landscape one final time, the Iron Wasp hums beneath him, a small but mighty predator in a war dominated by giants. Smoke curls across the horizon, and he knows that while battles will continue, this creation, the machine that turned a humble jeep into a legend, has already left an indelible mark on the annals of war. The predator, the legend, the Iron Wasp, survives not just in steel and fire, but in stories, whispered on battlefields, written into dispatches, and remembered wherever courage and ingenuity are honored.